seconds, 6 seconds. There we go. Ooh. Thank you, AI.
Welcome to Tavern Talk. We're a live talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Joining me as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Brother Dan himself. Dan, how's your six-pack?
Ryan, my six-pack is down to 3. Went to the lake earlier.
All right, let me lower this and let's get going. Dad Swain has popped in. We're going to bring him in. Fellow co-host of Tavern Talk. You've been a blessing to the show. Dad Swain, thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
We love having you.
I love being here.
Guys, so what is today about? Today we're continuing our book to show series, comparing character arcs. And today we're talking about the infamous Matt Cauthon. And to celebrate, we brought in the biggest Matt Cauthon fan there is. Let's bring her in right now, our special guest, Mr. Stovey. She has no less than 5 Matt tattoos. And if we're lucky, we see them all.
No less.
There she is.
Hi.
Welcome.
David Dunes.
Can you hear me?
Good to, yeah. You look great. You sound great. Everyone looks great. We sound great. Chat, thank you for being here. We're gonna be. Oh, we got some match.
Hey.
If you want to support Dad Swain's channel,
I said, let me put more content on there. Hold on.
I will say that there are fans of Matt, and then there's the woman who used her senior quote as a tribute to our boy Matt. That's a level of dedication you don't find all the time.
There's actually even more a story behind that.
Okay.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so me, I was obviously ran with the nerd crowd in high school, and so we all read Wheel of Time, and I said when we graduated we should all do the toss the dice quote for our senior quote, and everyone's like, yeah, and then only one person did it. One of the guys did it. And not only was he the only one that did it, his picture was directly below mine. And so,
Bro, nice.
because our last names were similar. And so it probably looked like we were dating or something. We were not. But yeah, so it was even funnier.
That's awesome. What was his quote? What was his
he
quote?
did the Dovey, and I think he did the Dovey.
He did Dovey, yeah. He did the
okay.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing.
Oh, Doviandi.
Wearing my
you all
not Chibi shirt today also.
Oh,
nice.
Right,
I got a Mercury Con.
Oops, sorry. Hold on. I meant to do that.
Oh,
Show me, yeah.
Here's our little mat, Chibi time.
Oh, nice, Chibli.
The back.
Oh, I love.
They got little smiley faces.
The cute guys with the wink. One of them's winking.
Memo.
Awesome.
Oh, I love.
You know, let's say RIP to Matt's storyline. The fact we will never see him.
All right, now let's get into it. Let's get into it.
One of the biggest tragedies, I think, of this whole series, and I do want to get into it, Ryan. First of all, let's just say thank you all for being here. Like and subscribe if you haven't. We are now ad-free. We recognize that ads are a very disturbing way to watch this, and so we want to make your experience as good as possible. So thanks to our Patreon, thanks to our memberships. We're just throwing that into the experience as a whole. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, well done, Dan. All right, yeah, so Matt Cauthon, I would say one of my favorite characters ever in all of literature. And it's sad to see how, in my opinion, he got done dirty twice. Brandon Sanderson did him dirty,
Mm.
and then Rafe did him dirty. And it just shows how complicated of a character and how amazing of a character he is. For the, like, we have talented people trying to encapsulate him, trying to capture him, bring him to life, and I would say having a hard time with it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Matt's the archetype of Matt's character in any story is probably difficult to write. He's a trickster, he's a gambler, he's a rogue, but at the same time, he's sort of an anti-hero. You want to fall in love with him because he kind of represents all of us. You know, he's got this fun, exciting side, but he's also got a huge part to play in the story itself, and he kind of does the best that he can to avoid getting caught up in the expectation of, you know, the pattern or whatever the story calls for. And I think that's a difficult character to write. And so as we saw, you know, like Robert Jordan did an amazing job of Matt, and then all of a sudden it was kind of like, oh, what happened to our
Right.
Matt?
Right.
Yeah,
Where's Maddie?
he became a silly boy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. I think that it's just very difficult. Ryan and I were talking earlier about the phrase "done him dirty." I don't think that Sanderson did. I think that it's just super hard, and he never really got the voice of Matt really down. My Matt wasn't like doing a quip as he's sliding under Patton Fane fog creature thing as he stabs them. He doesn't do like a "Hasta la vista, baby." That like these things were like just jarring to me, like in the moment. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. The show. So let's talk right off the bat. Differences in the show. So they are in the Two Rivers. Matt is a bit more gamblerish. He's a bit more broke, I guess. He didn't seem so broke in the books. Here he's like, hey, bro, can I haven't eaten. His sisters don't eat much. His parents are scoundrels. His dad's a scoundrel. His mom calls him a prick. These things, I think, I do agree with Ryan that the show does kind of do him a little dirty here. This isn't. I guess we had to have some emotional gravitas, you know, in 90 minutes of storytelling for us to know who Matt is. And sure, let's throw a dirtbag dad in there. Why not? But it is not. That was not the Matt. Well, okay. Well, actually, let me retract that. Is that the Matt of the Two Rivers, but we just don't see it because we are getting this through Rand's point of view, and Rand is Matt's friend?
No, I don't think so. Because even in the books, and one of the outrages that at first I was like, really? Because I didn't think of Matt's dad as like a pivotal character in the books myself, just for me personally. But then the more that I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? In the books, he is the man of honor. He has his own code of honor. He's Abel Cauthon. He's got these moments that really prove that. And so seeing just sort of the introduction to Abel Cauthon as just a douchebag was a little jarring, because it was kind of like, well, that's gonna re-inform Matt's character in a different way than having an honorable set of parents would have. And any good set of parents will tell you that every once in a while, one of the kids comes out just kind of mischievous and roguish.
Right.
Well,
let me stay with this theme though, Dovey. So we do get the point of view of Matt from Rand. Is it possible that if Rand actually lived in the village, or if we got Matt's point of view from one of the women's circle people, it would make sense that Matt actually would steal a bracelet and pawn it off to Patton Fane, and Matt actually would do the shit, and Rand just doesn't see it because he's his friend and isn't really in town all that much.
Yeah, I mean, we do definitely want to think the best of our friends and not want to believe bad things that we hear about them. We see that conflict carrying through whatever changes have to be made, but to the very end of the show with Matt and Egwene, or with Rand and Egwene, arguing about Matt and his character and whether he's a good person or not. So it's. I mean, whether it's not seen through the lens of like Rand or not, I mean, I could see them making this change to bring a little bit more dimension to the people of the Two Rivers. Like they're not just uniformly these, friendly country bumpkins.
Bumpkins, yeah.
They have nuance and they have, different characteristics and personalities, and maybe trying to just bring a little more color to it and a little more conflict to the Two Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
In a season when there is not very much conflict in the Two Rivers.
Yeah, one of the biggest changes is they aged them up famously. And I felt that kind of instantly robbed us of that kind of coming of age story that we enjoyed. We don't get to really see them grow. Like, who knows? Maybe if they stuck around in the Two Rivers for 4 more years, Dan, maybe Matt would be that guy, right? Like, but he was young. I don't know if he's, got his D-wed.
Right.
Like,
Matt seemed to have slept with a lady and stolen her bracelet. Right.
Which is nuts.
Right.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
Gift with purchase.
I mean, it also maybe is like setting up like the lengths that he will go to provide people he cares about.
Sure.
We see him making this terrible choice of grabbing the dagger, and we have some kind of like background of like, oh, he's had to make these choices to take things that were not his in the past in order to, provide.
Right. What does he do?
Maybe that's kind of where they're going.
What does he do? Right. But Adobe, he goes and uses that bracelet to buy some grief boats.
Yeah.
They're going to launch some grief boats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's that
family.
Yeah, it's that kind of moral, like philosophical dilemma. Is it right to like steal from the pharmacy if your child's sick? Things like that.
Yes, I mean, sure.
and I like those. I mean, it felt. I guess if you know a character so well, and then they start adding this, it feels like a contrivance for an audience, like that maybe needs contrivances. I don't know, but it felt like wedged in. He's already one of the most complicated characters in all of fantasy. Like, we don't need to make him more complicated. Yeah, I have an interesting question. I was talking to someone and they said, I think it was M.R. Halley said that the first season Matt was not his Matt. Barney was not his Matt. He did not like Barney, and he thought that what's his name? The other guy came in
Donald.
and Donald, yeah, and Flynn came in and like and was more his Matt. And I wanted to ask, what do you guys think of that? Was Barney your Matt or is Donald your Matt?
Oh gosh.
Who was closest?
I have like a interesting relationship with that, because like Matt's been my boyfriend since I was in middle school. Like I started reading these books in the 7th grade, and Matt has been my boyfriend ever since then. And when they announced Barney as the actor, like, and I saw his headshots, I was like, I do not like this. I don't really like him. But then him as Matt in the show, like, he was very attractive to me. Like, I was physically attracted to him. I thought he was gorgeous in the show. And then I did like.
Oh, he's so pretty.
I love that. But I did to like Donald a lot, and then when we lost him, I had to start over again. And I don't find Donald very attractive, which like was hard for me, especially season 2. Like season 3, we get a little bit more where he's kind of
a little more open shirt. You get a little more chest.
So ripped.
Just a little bit sexier. But yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred to stick with Barney, but I have come to appreciate Donald, I will say.
I will say personally, I think that both of those actors are amazing. They are so charismatic, and whenever Barney Harris was on screen, like I couldn't take my eyes off of him. His charisma dripped, and I was nervous about the shoes that Donald was going to fill because they were pretty big in my eyes, and I think he did great. And Barney, so Barney only was in technically, I think, the first 4 episodes.
Mm.
6. I think it was 6, right? Because he wasn't in the
Well,
last
there were flashbacks of him, but there weren't like. Yeah, apparently he wasn't in. That's what. Anyways, that's what. Let me see what I have here. So
Okay.
it says episode 4, he's there. Episode 5. So episode 6, he's not in. Episode 7, he's shown briefly in a flashback of sorts. He did not enter the ways. And then episode 8, he does not appear. So it looks like they had to adapt like pretty early. And I guess, why didn't they just fucking just I guess they burnt down the 2 rivers, right? Like they literally burnt it down.
Yeah.
So I guess they couldn't just reshoot things with a new actor. I don't know, man. The struggle that they must have gone through.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if Barney leaving the show under whatever circumstances was actually the first domino to this show not being renewed.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it does show a bit of this was a first-time showrunner, and when the stars it leaves mid-season. That's difficult to rebound from.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. And then COVID, we hear COVID's still affecting him to this day, right?
Right?
But yeah, so Barney Harris, R.I.P.
I mean, I think Barney was great as like Dagger Matt for sure. I wonder, even like in his like kind of Dagger era, early season 2, Donald was like less like scary evil, more like kind of depressed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I did fall in love with Donald by the end of season 3. Like I think he came into it, and I think that like he does do a good job of like showing Matt as a character that is kind of inherently like a scoundrel, but still like so lovable. But yeah, it's unfortunate we had to switch actors for sure.
Now that everything's said and done, did Matt Cauthon kill that little girl?
Never.
No, come on! This is a guy who stole that dagger. This is a guy who is all drugged out on dagger juice.
Dagger juice?
I mean, it seemed like he may have killed her.
I don't think he killed her. He may have taken the Brigitte doll, though.
Okay. Well, that's even worse.
Yeah, he stole her doll for sure.
Right on.
He just left
Yeah, he's a total klepto. He's stealing from kids.
Everything.
He just threw it by the body as he was going out. It's like, oh, no.
Whoops.
No.
All right, guys, we actually here is the real reason
Oh.
we lost. This is the truth behind the Barney Harris.
Nope.
The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Entering the Waygate today. Wonderful. Proof of vaccination, please. Proof of vaccination.
I love this.
Sir, everyone knows that to enter the Waygates, you must have proof of vaccination. Were you...
Tastes so good.
Sir, the Waygates are closing in just a few seconds, and I do need just proof of vaccination for you to go through. Doors closing in 3 seconds. There's nothing I can do without proof of vaccination. Well, there's nothing I can do now. I'm so sorry. So, you can go back to Tarvalon. The sisters there will vaccinate you, and you can just bring back the new card. We can try this again. Thank you for traveling the ways. Come back soon.
Oh, you're screaming.
You good with it? All right.
Oh. That's so cute.
Right. So I mean, the truth
Mystery
is out there.
solved. Yeah.
Yeah.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there.
What are you, X-Files?
All right. Oh man.
So with season 2, then the rebound to try to make sense of Matt's storyline was on. He was inexplicably in Tarvalon, in a cell. I guess he was quarantined, Ryan, because
Right. Yeah.
You know, when you enter, you got to stay 40 days. He became a like cop comedy. He and Min were great. Like they should be roommates and have their own like 2.5 Men or something. Maybe they should raise a baby that they adopt or something.
More like How I Met Your Mother.
No. But this was nowhere near the storyline from the books. Matt, I think barely knew Min at all. There was no interaction with Min at all. He turns the dagger into an Ashandare, I believe, with some duct tape and chewing gum.
Yeah, he MacGyvers it.
Yes.
Turns it into a lightsaber that opens doors.
I like that.
Oh, you like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Come on, it's so
Okay.
cool. Why not? It's a fantasy TV show. Come on, it's cool as shit.
Okay, no,
well,
that's why
we
you're
also
here.
know that this dagger does not kill Ogier, so it's not quite as strong as the book dagger. A book dagger does kill Ogier, I'm pretty sure. But this dagger doesn't. You can just stab him and twist the knife. Look up at Matt and just go, and then walk away. And it does not kill Loyal. We'll get to that during Loyal's thing.
Loyal's not a human.
But this knife, it was awesome. Matt had like the vapor. Oh, he had the vapors coming out of his mouth. He had like sleep apnea, like literal apnea coming out of his face. It was great.
Is that what it means? Apnea. If you have sleep apnea, there's apnea in your body.
I'm pretty sure those are apneas. He had apneas all like in his like bile. Yeah.
Jesus, that's hilarious.
How did you like his healing?
With the yellow
Moraine, yeah.
Oh, with Moraine. Yeah, I liked it. I liked I like Moraine's line about "you stupid boys." That was in approaching the show kind of as a book reader and trying to be open-minded. Like there were those little gems that you were kind of like, oh, that feels very much like Moraine, and also feels kind of very much like Matt, where he's just kind of doing what he's not supposed to be doing, getting himself in trouble, and it just kind of encapsulated that very nicely. I think the healing itself was fine. The little goo in her mouth, it was dramatic. It was television, and it was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I think I would have preferred, again, if possible, I would have much preferred to see the scene where he was like actually healed in the tower. That would have been cooler. But
absolutely,
I don't mind what we got.
I kind of liked it. I thought, it had the proper exorcism vibes. Where the body like, that shit. I love it. Why not?
What do we think of how they handled Matt's luck abilities? Was he lucky in the show? No.
Yeah.
He had a penchant for gambling, I guess. They showed him with dice in episode 1, and then they showed him looking at a deck of cards that go crazy on him later, but that's about it. We don't see him using that skill at all. So, I mean, these are wholesale changes that were fucking mind blowing to me. I was like, come on, guys, like give me like my Matt. So he famously gets memories. I mean, his whole storyline is so fun. He goes in at the eel fin. They take away his memories. He gets them filled up with generals from his past. We don't know if he's like genetically linked to them. There's so many mysteries about how he gets these voices, and the show decides to turn it into just chaos voices, screaming,
like
terror, like a nonstop PTSD, like
the voices, those memories weren't a boon. They were something he was trying to rid himself from.
They were debilitating, yeah.
They were debilitating to him. So there was no benefit to him having this at all. And him just besides just becoming bilingual without even trying.
Yes, sort of like accidentally sort of bilingual. So I don't know. I really kind of I think that's where a lot of the I tried really hard with the changes in the show to see where the change was going and how it worked in the show. And I think this one failed for me because I was just kind of like, it doesn't have any payoff in my opinion to maybe like what the book in the and again, not to just be like in the books, but yeah, in the books he had access to this information. There was this scene where, he kind of laid out the whole battle plan without thinking about it. It was something he was fascinated. He's accessing these memories. It's a source of fascination, which makes it a source of fascination for us as the readers. And I think I would have liked to have felt that fascination as a viewer as well, kind of being like, what are these voices and how does he do that? And it's so awesome. And it just kind of felt like, you said, like there's just people screaming in his head, making him crazy. And that didn't have a good a payoff for me.
Yeah, the end of season 2, he blows the horn. The heroes come and he's like, I remember. He's stoked. He's like, say it, Dovey. What does he say?
Doviende Satovia again.
That's what he says. And then, the next season, he's like, oh, Nynaeve, these fucking voices. I can't deal with it. Can you get rid of them? Yeah, so I guess let's talk about the blowing of the horn. So here, Rand is not present when he blows the horn, which is a little weird. They are generally there to follow the dragon's banner. The dragon generally, it's a prerequisite for them to follow. They don't follow the hornblower, they follow the dragon. The hornblower is a part of the dragon, it seems. Here, he was just kind of in a pickle. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna probably get captured." Blows that weird donut hole, the croissant hole,
the cinnamon roll,
the cinnamon horn,
Cinnabon.
Guys, real quick, do you notice that Brigitte does not even have an arrow drawn?
Yeah, they CGI'd her arrows, which. I was like, oh my god.
She's just standing there.
Just standing there.
Watch out, guys. I have...
oh no.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
maybe this is. Oh, go on. You go on. Actually.
Okay. I was just going to say that scene had a positive and a negative for me because it just kind of was a thread through seasons 1 through 3 where you had everyone talking about something and then it did something completely different. So they were like, we got to get the horn to the Dragon Reborn. Got to get the horn to the Dragon Reborn. Got to get the horn to the Dragon Reborn. And so, yeah, and they're just going off. Everyone's going off about that. Even Loyal's like, I got to get this horn to the Dragon Reborn. And then Matt's just like, up on the bridge. So I said, okay. And then on the flip side, I did feel like I got some payoff where Matt was suddenly kind of aware that he wasn't necessarily a dick face or a prick or whatever, that he had a place, he had a purpose, he had something. Like that resonated with me a lot. And I think that they did a good job with that in that scene where he blew the horn and it kind of gave him a completion. I did like that. Although within that, I was kind of like, I guess they didn't have to give the horn to the Dragon Reborn.
Right. Yeah. You didn't even know it was blown.
Yeah.
So there was an emotional gravitas assigned to show Matt that I don't know if the books necessarily have, and I'll give two examples. One is when he's partying with Ishamael, and Ishamael's like, "Hey, you want to talk to the elves, baby? You want to trip? Here, drink this tea. I'm going to set this tea. Don't let it sit. Hey, if it sits for more than 10 minutes, you were going to trip too hard. So you got to drink it." Or was it an hour? 30 minutes? As soon as 30 minutes hits, and he gobbles it down. And what it is, so he starts tripping about his mom. Freud stuff, indeed. But then when Egwene is dreamwalking later, she voyeurist into his dream, and it's the saddest thing. He's like a bachelor, all like all fancy suited up. He's still talking to his sisters who are young. And he's like, "Hey, you like this sword? It's a parent original. This is yeah, I wrote up in my big carrots." He just wants to be rich. He's like Jeff Bezos he's like you guys remember Family Ties? He's Alex P. Keaton. He just wants to be rich.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
But that's. Do you think that is the motivation really at all behind Book Matt, his family, and how they think of him? Does Book Matt give a shit about that?
I mean, he was a lot younger. Not a lot younger. He was younger, and it didn't seem like he had as much of the familial responsibility on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because his parents weren't, assholes, and so he was not as concerned in the books, I think, for his sisters, because they were being well taken care of and raised well. So I think there was a sort of difference between. I don't think Matt in the books necessarily was overly concerned with restoring, the name of Cauthon or providing for his sisters and his mum or whatever.
Mm-hmm. 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 Did you find that to be effective in the show?
No, I kind of hated it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Matt. And again, I'm trying to disconnect from the books. If I was just watching the show, I'm sure that would be a very compelling character and a good storyline to go through. But because I think I came to it with a Matt already fully formed, I was sort of hoping to see that reflected in some way on the screen, and I think that's where one of the differences in kind of the way what we're doing with these episodes. One of the big differences between show Matt and book Matt was that their motivations and their line throughs from those motivations were kind of completely different because they started from a very different place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Maybe we could steer this conversation in this direction. What could they have done differently? What would you have liked for them to have done differently? How do you think they could have fixed Matt so that book readers would have enjoyed it too?
I think, and again, they're constrained by time. I'm taking that into consideration. But I think if they had introduced Matt as a more of like the guy in the friend group that sort of gets in trouble and everyone sort of expects him to get in trouble. Oh great, there's Matt again. I think there's a point in the books where Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene are doing something, and then I think it's Matt's going to go give the letter to Morghese or something like that. But or he's going to go with them to Ebudar. I think that's what it is. And so the two girls, Egwene and Nynaeve, are all of a sudden in a good mood, and Elaine's like, "What the fuck?" And they were like, "I think Matt made a promise." And then they kind of explained to Elaine, Matt steals pies, Matt, kicks chickens, Matt, whatever he does.
Yeah, grabs badgers.
He catches badgers. He gets in trouble.
He grabs them by the pussy.
Yeah, he grabs them all by the pussy.
But they're like, that's Matt. That's just Matt. There's nothing you can do about it. They're like, but if he gives his word, that's where his honor kicks in. Like, he will fulfill every promise that he makes. That's where his honor stands. And I think if we had been sort of given that Matt in some way, he's
Mm-hmm.
stealing pies, he's reaching around a corner and grabbing the bracelet or whatever's happening, you get a sense of, oh, there's Matt, he's up to no good again.
Mhm.
But then given that sort of, but here's where Matt is honorable, here's where Matt will keep his word,
Mhm.
and that would have given us a much more accurate
Yeah.
portrayal of Book Matt, I think.
There's that scene in the White Tower when I think he like happens upon Nynaeve crying, maybe?
Egwene.
Egwene
Egwene
crying.
crying when
and he
Nynaeve
just-
doesn't come out.
Yeah, and he just fucking walks away.
He's like, whoa, that's
Oh shit, I
that's
can't.
all-
Oh,
that's
but
between y'all.
nothing to see
But,
here.
I will say that
He steals a
what
pie real quick.
the show made a connection that the book didn't for me, in that when Matt was sick, Tom was talking to Rand and saying, yo, my nephew, and he got sick, and this reminds me of when my nephew can channel. And that wasn't touched on in the show, in the books at all. But I loved that that angle that was brought out by Tom, and I'm like, yeah, of course. That it's not that he just has travel sickness. Maybe he is the dragon. And that whole like peril when it was Rand all along, I like that. That was a cool little turn of event, even though I knew it wasn't there. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree with Dovey that the way that Barney portrayed kind of Dark Matt was really good, in my opinion. I enjoyed what he brought into those sort of darker moments where you're still kind of like, is he evil? Did he kill that girl? What's going on? And then, he points and he can point to the Murdral and he can kind of see in the darkness, but he's also just mentally declining and stuff. I think he did a great job with that. And it brought that element of Shadow Logoth into the show for me.
Dovey,
I don't know how.
Oh,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say I don't know how understandable it was for non-book readers.
Yeah.
Though we definitely
Yeah.
we have a first time or a non-book reader reaction show that we do, and I think Matt might have been the most confusing for them. Just like what's his storyline? What's going on?
Yeah, there's like little lines I felt like you could put in, and this is me not knowing anything about television, but even like maybe one or two lines while they were in Shadow Logoth, going like, Lan was like, don't touch anything, and then that was it. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to touch everything. But if it was like, don't touch anything, because people who touch things here go completely bananas. Just a quick line like that might have explained things a little bit better and carried it through after he took the dagger.
I think
Go
the
ahead.
whole I think that especially in season 1, like the threat from the Dark One is all very conceptual, and it's like, oh, he's in your dreams and he's haunting you, and there's like not really like a true threat other than the Trollocs, obviously, but like it's not as tangible of like, oh, this is something that is like imbued throughout this world, and there can be the touch of the Dark One can be and anywhere, in people, in objects and stuff. And so I think in that way, the potentially playing it up even more in the show like illustrates that, maybe.
I think they did a good job when all those rats were dead, or all the bats, whatever.
The bats,
It was all these dead bats around, and that integrates the dream world with the real life. I think that does give a sense, like an element of danger, that I thought was kind of cool. I want to ask you guys about Matt and Min. So to me, Matt and Min are an adorable couple. They were like, it was like Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah.
Or Jerry and Elaine. I don't know. There was no possible way in my head that I saw Rand and Min in the show getting together at all. No way at all. There was I could not picture that one iota. It would have been so forced down my face that my puppet would have barked. And my puppet is used to having things forced down its face. I mean, what did you guys think about the Matt and Min? I guess their relationship, their chemistry, and their dynamics, I guess. What do you think, Dovey?
I think it worked really well. I mean, I think they made Min a bit more comedic in the show than in the book, as far as I can remember. I think they played well off of each other. I mean, assuming that they were going to go with the original storyline of Rand having the 3 women in his life, I think that making it, like, not making it super obvious, like, he's not just falling in love with every woman he sees kind of thing, or everyone who crosses his path, and, like, having a, the pattern, putting that into place. Because, like, obviously the pattern has a role in him having these 3 partners that are each kind of serving different purposes for him in his life. So I don't necessarily have a problem with not being able to see them together at this point, because I would like to, I mean, the reason I like the show is that, like, things that are unexpected are happening, like, I don't know what to expect. And so, like, I think in that way, I would rather feel like, okay, this is, like, of course we're not going to get together. And then, like, seeing how that played out. But I think it's really cute as, like, a buddy comedy kind of thing. I like that they had a platonic, very, like, friendly and platonic, but also very, like, complex relationship, where, like,
it was intimate, right? There was some intimacy there. It wasn't sexual, but it certainly was intimate.
Yeah.
But she was working with the Forsaken. Dun dun dun.
I forgot about that.
Well, she didn't know she was, and she thought she was Mandarin.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think that storyline was supposed to play out?
I think it played out the way it was supposed to. I don't know if it was effective, but I guess it did. It did what it was supposed to. It got her where she needed to be physically, so that she could connect with Matt's storyline, I think.
It also showed us again, like, how people have many different paths to the dark. Like, we don't know what it's like to be her and to see people dying every single day, right in front of her eyes. Like, we can't imagine that. Like, people do things all the time that you didn't, you wouldn't think that they would do, and when you're suffering.
And she is seeing horror shows all around her.
Yeah.
And being exploited for it by everyone, by her family, by the Aes Sedai, by everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. I would not trust people as well. I would keep that shit to myself. But with her and Matt, half of the time they spend in captivity. And I think this is because they just didn't know what to do with Matt, to be honest. And then they get knocked out, and Leandrin just drags him over to Falma or something.
No, Lanfear.
Or Lanfear. Oh, that's Lanfear. I mean,
did Matt get conked out twice or once? I feel like he got conked out twice, at least once, but for some reason I feel like twice. Chat, how many times did they use that really clever trope?
Everyone kept running into walls in season 2. God, open your eyes. Right. Situational awareness.
I know, birds flying around. So, in my mind, my favorite parts were scenes like this. We had one in the first season when the 3 of them are just being friends, sitting around tables, enjoying each other's company, and then we get it in season 3 too. These are my favorite moments. My least favorite moment.
Oh no! Those shoes. I'm living.
Know, so good.
Okay, wait a second. I never noticed.
Bowie cat.
There are no heels on that shoe.
Yeah.
Okay,
those are kink shoes.
Yeah.
Those are like the shoes Dan and I used to wear to make our calves stronger.
Yes.
And jump higher.
Yeah, the weight is on the toe, and it's just a glorious shoe.
Okay, well, I disagree with you 100%.
It is
all of this is fucking horrifying to me. This whole scene was just the silliest piece of shit I've ever seen.
Aww.
I did not.
I'm sorry, just making it a 2-person act play, like with, like, there's no scale to this.
It's Rum Tum Tugger. Yeah, this.
You just go in a room and
me
meet with one dude like this, and on a stupid little pedestal. Why are you standing there?
Yeah.
Anyways, was he
Yeah.
waiting there the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his
They're
job.
always waiting there.
He's just standing there.
Just
stable.
standing there with the strongest calves in the
He's got his
fucking world.
shoes on, right?
That's his shift for the day.
Oh, also I like these interactions with
Oh yeah,
Matt and Nynaeve.
with the
I thought they
chopsticks,
had
that was great.
Yeah, there were super tender moments when and
Super tender.
he's relying on her and needs her help and is admitting to it and
The most vulnerable moment we see is Matt opening up to Nynaeve saying, "These voices are in my head and I can't get rid. Can you help me?" And she says, "I don't know if I can, but I will try to do whatever." Like it is, Ryan, to your point, so tender. And
It was
Yeah.
also
yeah, just really
it was so good
well
too
done.
because like it really showed Nynaeve as he's saying there's voices in my head, I want to talk about it, and instead of being like, okay, lunatic, she's kind of like, Matt, I'm your wisdom, I'll always be your wisdom no matter what happens, so open up, share with me, let me try to help you fix this. And I thought that was beautifully done in both Donalfin and Zoe
yeah.
Roberts.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what they did in season 3 a bit is they had these our main boys who traditionally do not communicate well in the books, do not know how to express themselves. We had Perrin being very open and upfront about the wolf shit with Fael. But they had that very awesome conversation before she mounts his wounded ass. And then we have Matt opening up to Nynaeve, who Matt and Nynaeve, I think in the books, have a strained relationship. She hit him with sticks a lot.
Yeah.
I think she was always hitting him with sticks. And it took a bit for Matt to get over that power dynamic. But here in the show, we solved all of that with that tender moment. And yes, it was like, yes. She's like, yeah, I got your back, bitch. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Which is very much my Nynaeve.
My Nynaeve?
My
Nynaeve. Guys,
Yeah.
I got a weed delivery coming in 3 minutes. I'm gonna pop off in a second.
Okay.
Bad timing.
It certainly is. What, you forget we have a show?
They don't want to be on the show.
Dan.
I got a show at 4.
Dan, I had
Guys
the
scheduled
I
this
had
to show up before
God,
5.
Dan, I have the longing.
The longing.
Savor.
I have the longing. How dare you?
All right.
But when it comes, I'm gonna be.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. I have a question for you before you go. Quick question.
Talk to me.
You guys famously have a lot of quibbles, way more than I do with the show. If we assume that the beginning of it was Barney leaving and that kind of like started the dominoes of all of these things that have led to the show's downfall, would you have preferred they just like paused everything at that point and started fresh?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Oh yeah.
And like potentially like several years.
Yes. Absolutely. I think more studios should take more time with their products. I think more time should be spent on editing, more time should be spent on writing, more time should be spent on conceptualizing the entire arc, as opposed to trying to like wow us as much as they can with a kind of a slipshod story. So yeah, I definitely think more time would have been beneficial, which is kind of crazy when we think about like how weird it was. Wait, 2 years between seasons, right? Like. But that seemed more like manufactured, like advertising decisions rather than.
There was a writer's strike, Ryan.
Yeah, I think that.
Guys,
also,
have you ever defended a TV show like we've defended this TV show? Like just been like, oh well. I mean, I feel like a Trump supporter where I'm like, well, the show is it's. But it means well. No, here's what it really means to say. Well, No, Rafe is actually awesome. It's no, you're the crowd size was actually much bigger than you saw. Like I feel like we're making lies to ourselves sometimes about the quality of the show just because it's the Wheel of Time and we want to love it.
Yeah.
And we're planting our flag in it, but some of these decisions are, I think, were detrimental. I think I think we should have just scrapped it and rewrote with a new Barney.
I think
redone.
I think it either that, or I think the opening of season 2 they could have addressed some things differently and made it a little bit more fluid instead of just either having a lot of things happen off screen and you're just supposed to accept it, or having things unexplained or just very kind of like casual, like, oh yeah, explanations. I think if they had spent a little more time, addressing the things that were sort of open loops at the end of season 1 or the last couple of episodes of season 1, that could have created a through line instead of having to completely reset. You're kind of like, okay, I get it, or I can be on board with that at least. As a logical explanation or a believable explanation at least, and go through that way. I don't think that I've ever defended a show like this. I don't think I've cared enough about a show, except maybe Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Firefly, and then and The Expanse. Okay, maybe a few, but
did you like Angel?
I did like Angel.
I have another question then. Like, do we if we've considered this last 10 years of streaming and all of these big companies trying to find these blockbusters, sinking hundreds of millions of dollars into it? Like, do we think this is a sustainable model moving forward? Are we just going to see, we look at stuff that's really successful, like Friends and Cheers and all these shows that were very low budget, very little production. They're putting out tons of episodes. People are loving them. Is there any future where this blockbuster TV show with tons of CGI and tons of production and tons of, on-site shooting, is there any way that this is a successful model that without it going straight to AI, I guess?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good question.
I think yes. And if Wheel of Time had sustained the numbers that it had from the first season, then I think we would still have it. We spent $400 million plus on, I think, 198 billion seconds of views or something. But it's all based on just numbers.
Yeah.
And the numbers versus cost, it just doesn't. I mean, if you can get that number of views by doing a dating show on an island, you just do that. So I think that it can sustain itself if it has the quality. And I don't think that this show was treated appropriately. I don't think it deserved to continue necessarily. It was getting better, but it had disabused itself of a lot of core fans that if you're a book reader, you're not going to like that. Well, there's 192 million book readers who wanted to see this, and we're on board with it. And a lot of them were just like, well, this just isn't my Wheel of Time. And I wish they had tried more. And I think if they had tried more to actually not change right off the bat all this shit, I think it would have been more successful. I think they made a gamble and it didn't work. And I think that this is the result of that. And we can blame Barney, we can blame these things. And I think that there's some validity to it. But if the show was really quality, season 2, if the show was quality, it would have retained the numbers because it did have them in the beginning. And it just doesn't have them.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say, I think too, I'm just trying to analyze this in a non, hateful way, but just the focus on the Dragon Reborn, Matt, Perrin, Egwene as the central characters. I know they had Rosamund Pike to kind of get everybody's attention. That was fantastic. I love it. I loved Moraine and Swan. I thought that was fantastic. But the books and the show were about the Dragon Reborn. And I think if they had not taken as much time as they did to sort of get our focus onto Randall Thor, or develop Matt's story a little bit quicker, develop Perrin's story a little bit quicker, so that we know that those are the ones that the light is focused on. That could have helped amazingly, especially with Matt. I don't think the viewers really got Matt the way that we get him as book readers. I don't think they had enough time to really, or they were taking perhaps too much time to really dig in and get his character in there and get the viewers to be like, I really like this guy. He's hilarious, or whatever. I think season 3 came the closest for sure. The Min and Matt dynamic was fantastic. I thought they did a great job with that. But it also that was season 3, and they had the first 2 seasons where I'm just sort of like, what was Matt doing as a character? Where if we had kind of gotten that season 3 Matt, barring all this stuff that happened, that's fine. But if we had been able to sort of solidify Matt season 3 in maybe, the end of season 1 or season 2, I think that could have helped a whole lot with viewers really getting engaged with the show.
Right. No, I agree with you. I agree with you as well. People blame, Amazon didn't really advertise. I remember there was a couple months that every Amazon package had Wheel of Time branding on my box. I don't know how to advertise for something that you have to actively go onto Prime. It's not like, I don't know if I don't go into Prime unless I want to watch something on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go and just scroll through and say, oh, what does Prime have for me tonight? Do you guys?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Do you?
Well,
I don't scroll any TV. Well, he's a robot. I'll say I don't scroll any TV, so it's moot.
Yeah.
That's when you've frozen up. Hopefully you'll come back.
Here's a question on that. If we hop off of that line into another line, do you think if it wasn't Prime, if it was some other network, do you think it still with Rafe, same stuff, just different network? Do you think it would have worked out?
That's a very good question. I want to say yes, because I still firmly 100% believe in this story, and I believe that if they tried to make a faithful adaptation, it would be amazing. So I would like to say that yes, if another studio took this over, they could have done a better job. And I'm going to bring up what Rafe said, that he was given 300 pages of notes before they even filmed anything from Amazon. Amazon market tested the books. They researched. They asked people who read book 1 and then stopped. They said, "Why did you stop?" And then you got up to book 7. Why did you stop? And they were basically trying to figure out what's wrong with the story to fix it prior to even filming. And that admission, I thought was shocking for Rafe to say that. You don't really get that kind of inside knowledge. Although it did seem like he was "Hey guys, it's not on me. I got all these notes I got to deal with." So maybe if a different company didn't come at it with this kind of let's fix it before we even start, then, because it seemed like they had every intention of not giving us our story, they had every intention of writing something new, or else why would you bring these notes in? So I believe that this is the greatest story told, and if we actually got it, then it would have been more successful, and I do believe another studio could do it. I'd love to see it. I believe in an animated form. I think that might be
yes.
That's my hope. They teased us with those animated shorts in season 1, which again they stopped doing. Every cool thing they did, they just ended up stopped doing. The cold open of Blood Snow cold open was so amazing. Great camera work. Where'd that go? Where did that whole... that was amazing. What if that was the entire show with all this cool shit? Great camera work. They didn't do that. So it was just so slipshod and hit or miss. Yeah,
right.
I
do feel that during the fight scene, they did bring back elements of that. They still had it in their pocket. They just didn't use it.
No.
But when they had the fight scene, some of these fight scenes were badass.
Yeah, no, there are these great moments, and we can't knock them for that. Like some of the most memorable moments, like I mean, Ruidian is one of the most memorable things I've ever seen on television. That goes up there with the Battle of the Bastards scene in Game of Thrones as one of the greatest scenes on television. I was thoroughly blown away, bawling, so happy. It was perfect. But I mean, as Brandon Sanderson said, he felt that they were sacrificing long-term storytelling for cool scenes. And if you just have a bunch of cool scenes, that's great, but that doesn't make up, people like stories that develop.
Right.
That's what we love serialized television, because these characters can grow and change more than they can in a movie. So you have seasonal arcs where literal, real growth and change can happen, which is what happens in the books. Like these characters grow and change more, it's, it's funny still to go back to book one and think about Rand as opposed to the last book. So, I'm ranting,
Dobie,
but
Dobie, to your point, I would say Amazon. So I found this out that Amazon has submitted for Emmy nominations, had submitted Yosha for Best Supporting Actor, and
I'd give him
Daniel Henney as Best Actor. And
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Why?
And so I think
Why
I
in the
think that
fuck
this-
with the...
Because Daniel Henney has the name. So they were.
He has like 5 scenes.
I know.
Season 3.
I know, but
Oh
this
my
is
God.
what Amazon. This is what Amazon is. This is what Amazon does. They care about the story. They care about the actor, whoever it is. That fact alone shows me that they didn't get any of this shit at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. What do you think? If it wasn't Amazon, would this have been more successful?
Oh, that's hard to say. Right now, I want to believe that's true. But all of the streaming platforms kind of have a history of getting
Ruining
a good
shit.
show and then chopping it. So I don't know that there's a couple out there. I've heard that Apple TV is pretty good about at least sustaining a show. Max does some pretty good ones too, but I think a lot of them kind of had that same mindset, maybe expressed slightly differently, where it's just sort of like if they're not getting the numbers that they believe or whatever, or there's too many executive hands in the show, they just kind of cancel it and move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. I heard that the contracts, most of the major contracts expire in August.
I've also heard that.
And that Sony is trying to buy Max or merge with Max. And so that might be the play that they're really doing. But if shit doesn't go on, if it doesn't happen before August and shit gets renewed, then you know what, guys, we just salute and we say sayonara, I think.
I mean, at that
Because
point,
it's such a bummer.
Yeah, the actors have already moved on to other projects, and I don't know if they could recollect them into the show again without waiting another, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I personally, I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, like if I'm not a fan of Save Watt, like Ray says, the fans deserve the story to be finished, and I'm like, yes, you never gave us the story. You want this is your story.
Right.
This is your fan fiction that you're putting on television. I don't want to save that. I want to reconstitute things and I want something brand new. I don't want this to continue personally. I don't want to see just season 4 like on another platform with this storyline. This storyline's not making me happy.
Right. Where's it gonna go? Is Loyal still? Is he gonna pop back up? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I think
Again,
they
Loyal's still
knew it.
falling. Everyone.
Yeah, Loyal is still falling to this day. They don't need much food.
Oh.
Belonging.
Anyways, let's get back
Belonging.
to Matt though. Let's get back to Matt. So Matt, third season. He's again mostly hanging with the girls now, right? He finds him in Tanchico, or Elaine's doing her had to show not tell. I don't know. No, she'd tell. I like when they're partying. The kids at a bar are the funnest thing to watch.
Yeah.
And I wish that we saw some more of Matt, like actually being kind of a rogue and gambling a little bit, or sitting with some lords, or doing something like that. But we didn't much at all. He just wanted to gamble with his friends because they didn't collect when he lost, I think. Because he's poor, get it? Anyway. But then suddenly he has money. I don't know how he has money. I don't know. How did he have money?
I think Moraine gave him some money, probably.
Yeah, when they left Tervalon.
All right. Okay. What else? What else, Ryan? You take over. I'm done with it.
Oh no, I mean, I feel like there's only so much we could talk about. I feel like we've kind of veered more negative than I was hoping to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this storyline I think was inevitably going to go that way because they fucked up Matt badly. Matt is one of the 3 core TAVERN. And Matt in our storyline was just wanderingly, aimlessly. There was no structure for our boy. He was just chilling with men in cells mostly, trying to dig his way out of a bad plot line with a spoon.
With a spoon. All right.
What was everyone's favorite Matt scene of any season?
Good question.
Probably Matt and Swan. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard though because I feel like there were some Matt and Min moments that I was really particularly fond of, but something about the way that Sophie and Donald played that against each other in that scene, I thought it was just really, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys like Matt battling the Andor boys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wish.
Well, Dad, they just had their shirts off.
There should have had a crowd.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
that's a different question though.
Okay.
I do think I think the whole sequence of him being in the tower with the horn, seducing these girls, and then all of him thinking he's on top in the tower here, the hottest shit, and then the boys showing up and totally turning that on its head. I thought was a great sequence. Him with I didn't think you were this kind of thing, naive. I think it was a hilarious line and really well done.
And him having to listen to them just banging novices.
It was so funny.
He's like, oh Jesus.
And he's check. Then someone knocks and he's checking his chest.
Oh yeah.
I like the fight a lot. I wished it should have had an entire audience. I would have that it deserved to be viewed by all the Aes Sedai and novices and stuff. And the fact that it wasn't, I was like, come on, our boy Matt just killed all these sex hounds.
No, and it's supposed to be humiliating, yeah. But also, it's supposed to be connected to the abilities he got, which for how it played out, he just happened to be great at the quarterstaff.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to it compiled because he would have been healed from the dagger, which left him visibly weak and kind of gangly before he chowed down on all those meals and got his health back. But then he fought Galad and Gawain, and even they were kind of like, "Are you sure?" Because whatever. And then all the girls just going, as soon as the princes, were downed by Matt, I might have loved to see all the Aes Sedai and the novices and accepted, running up to try to heal them and whatever, just being super super girly about it. That was part of the book scene that I really kind of missed a little bit. But I do love in the show how it really focused on Nynaeve watching the fight and being proud of her Two Rivers boy and her, the dynamic of that somehow made it work as well for me. So I quite like that scene.
Yeah, I do too. I like. I wish that a wager was more prominent because I think that we were talking about the fact that early on Matt's luck seemed to be reliant on the fact that there was a wager, the fact that there had to be money involved, and then that changes. But I think early on, so I think that if in the books, if that wager hadn't occurred for the 2 silvers each versus him, that he may not have won. I think his luck kind of triggered. It was the gambler. It was the son of gambler, son of battles kind of thing. I think it's a combo thing in the books. That wasn't really in the show, but so it was a little diminished. But it was gratifying seeing him kick some ass. And the bare-chested Trekhan boys with their belt, like their pants, like up to their rib cage. Oh, so good.
They wrote that
Revolutionary pants.
So yeah.
specific for me.
This I agree with Glenn here. My favorite scene with Matt was also when he was trying to find his sisters.
Oh yeah.
Tripping over stuff, like the camera like following him in that really dramatic way. I like that.
That was really well done. I think my favorite is his being vulnerable and breaking down to Nynaeve. You don't see that side of Matt at all, and it was very on character for me and very realistic, and I love that it happened.
I could have sworn you were going to say this thread.
Yeah, when he was talking to Rum Tum Tugger.
When he opened up to Rum Tum Tugger.
So compelling.
so
in the wrong
vulnerable.
valley, my friend. What brings you here?
How about you, Dovey? What's your favorite scene?
I just expected him to burst into dance.
I think we already talked about like the scene with him in the tower, the whole like sequence of him in the tower when he is like acknowledged as the hero, and then like just the interactions of different characters there, I think, and then this quarterstaff fight was fun.
Dovey, if you had a framed picture of Matt blowing the horn that he got, would you hang it?
I have a picture that Joe gave me. One of his illustrations that I am hanging in my office.
Okay, good.
I do have a 3D printed horn that, although I'm not home right now, so I can't show it to you, but I do have. I did get 3D printed horns.
It looks like a golden bagel.
Yeah.
I just, as a musician, that was so offensive.
I showed my friend
the flugelhorn.
Whatever that was.
I was talking to a coworker who's a longtime reader, and she said it looks like it came from Home Goods. And she's like, I know exactly what aisle it would come from too.
That's amazing. All right. Well, these conversations are out of love. Love. We don't need to love multinational corporations like Amazon to love the Wheel of Time.
That's right.
They put their butts into this equation. We've been doing this before Amazon existed. So
yeah, Amazon didn't even exist. They started selling books.
That's right.
Like, right? Yeah, jerks.
Yeah, I do appreciate the work that Donnell did to bring Matt back to life and to, bring him back to us, even though we struggled with him, season 1 to season 2.
By the way, Jeff Bezos is getting married this weekend in Italy. They've rented out all the city's water taxis. So if you are anywhere in Italy, you cannot get a water taxi. They are all rented out by the richest man on earth. He couldn't afford to have another season of Wheel of Time. However,
he could afford.
He is having actual unicorn blood champagne. And he is doing. His wife is actually Grendel. Like there are naked people she is sitting on as we speak. So great.
This is true.
Never meet your heroes, guys.
Oh man.
All right. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Stovies. Thank you, Dad Swain Sedai. Does anybody have anything to promote, let everyone know about before we head out into the wild blue yonder?
I'm promoting Slutty Men.
Ooh. Take
Yes.
it. If you're going to WatCon this year, keep an eye out for me and come say hello.
I will also be at WatCon this year.
Are you a hugger or a handshaker or a fist bumper, Dad Swain?
I mean, there's
I
so
think
many,
it's a
so many things. I also, I was like, well, I mean, not since college, but I am a hugger. I'm a hello mwah I'm a handshaker.
Okay.
I'm all of it.
Mwah.
He's a
Mwah.
joker.
Same
He's a
like
choker.
I'm a bitch. I'm a mother. I'm a child. No, feel free.
Joey,
Come up and
anything
say
for
hi.
you? Mice? You
No,
wanna
just slutty
support-
men.
You want to support mice?
Send all your sweaty,
All right.
slutty men my way.
All right.
Mhm.
Ryan, let me promote our show on Tuesday. We are knee deep now in Tower Midnight, the last book with our first time readers. And Josh finally likes this book. He sent us text. He's like, finally, this fucking book has gotten me. So hopefully we'll have a really good show next week because Josh is all hyped.
That's hilarious. All right. Well done, everyone. We'll see you soon. Everyone, as always, run for your lives. This is The Way of the Leaf.